Meet Bob. Tomorrow, Bob has a global history test. Unfortunately, Bob has a problem. His teacher hands him a historical source and asks him to analyze it. Bob stares at the document. Then the document stares back. Bob panics. What am I supposed to do with this thing? Luckily, analyzing a historical source is much easier than it seems. In fact, Bob only needs to remember 5 simple steps. As long as he follows these steps, he can analyze almost any historical source he encounters. Ready? Let's help Bob solve the mystery. Step 1. Identify the author. Bob grabs a giant magnifying glass and looks at the source. The first question he asks is, who created this? Was it written by a king, a soldier, a journalist, a political leader? The author matters because every person has a perspective. A king might describe an event very differently than a farmer. A soldier might have a different viewpoint than a civilian. Bob writes down his first clue. Who created the source? Good. Now he's thinking like a historian. Step 2. Identify the time period. Next, Bob asks, when was this created? Was it written during the event, immediately afterward, or many years later? This matters because timing affects perspective. A diary written during a war feels very different from a textbook written 50 years later. Bob writes down clue number 2. When was the source created? Step 3. Determine the purpose. Now Bob asks, why was this made? Was the author trying to inform people, persuade them, celebrate something, criticize someone? Bob discovers a wartime recruitment poster. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The poster isn't just giving information, it's trying to convince people to join the military. Every source has a purpose. Bob adds clue number 3. Step 4. Determine the message. Now Bob asks the most important question so far. What is the author actually trying to say? Every source has a message. A speech, a letter, a photograph, a political cartoon. They're all communicating something. Historians don't just look at the source, they look for the message hidden inside it. Bob reads carefully and identifies the author's main idea. Another clue solved. Step 5. Explain why it matters. Finally, Bob asks, so what? Why is this source important? What does it teach us about the time period? What can historians learn from it? This is where everything comes together. The author, the time period, the purpose, and the message. All of it helps Bob understand the significance of the source. Suddenly, the document isn't confusing anymore. It's evidence. And that's the secret. Analyzing a historical source isn't about memorizing facts. It's about asking questions. 5 questions. Who created it? When was it created? Why was it created? What is the message? Why does it matter? The next time Bob receives a historical source, he won't panic. He'll pull out his magnifying glass, follow the 5 steps, and solve the mystery, because that's exactly what historians do.